It's Fee Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN. And are you ever? As we welcome you to Ann Arbor, this is Big Ten conference play for the second year in a row. The Big Ten with a couple of games for each school within the conference here in early December. And we got a good one for you today with Purdue and Michigan. Hi, everybody. A couple of Dans. Dan Schulman, Dan Dockich, Chris Budded will join us shortly. Michigan undefeated. A couple of the signature wins on the season. One at Villanova by 27. Just beat North Carolina by 17. And one of the breakout freshman stars of the year so far in Ignas Brazdeikis.
Yeah, I'm going with Iggy. I love that sign, by the way, about a basketball school. See this kid here? He intimidated, absolutely intimidated. And you were here, Dan. North Carolina, 3 straight 20-point games. This kid from Canada has come in and just lit up this program. This kid here has been good for 3 years. He's now a junior, averaging 25 points a game. Preseason National Player of the Year. Struggled a little bit down the stretch, maybe against Florida State, maybe trying to do too much, but I'm telling you, he is dynamite. This is going to be a ton of fun, Big D.
Keith Kimball is going to get us going. Terry Weimer and Paul Sells, the other officials. Purdue coming off that game against Florida State you were talking about. They were up 8 with 3.5 minutes to go. Didn't score again. The Seminoles winning 73-72. So you know the Boilermakers are coming in here looking to turn things around. The Wolverines control the opening tip.
You were here for the beatdown of North Carolina, Dan. And we're going to get it. I need some opinions from you about how good Michigan is, because nobody beats North Carolina like that, and nobody beats Villanova like they beat Villanova. Look at this.
There's Brazdeikis. Look at the smile on his face. You'll watch this kid play with confidence and with emotion all day long. He's a right-handed guy who shoots left, laid it in with the right hand there, basically ambidextrous around the rim.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Brian Carton. It's a great move.
Klein into Harms to knot it up at 2. Why does he remind you of Carter?
Because he plays incredibly hard. He plays with a joy, and he does everything. He'll shoot it. He'll drive it. He'll be tough on the defensive end. He'll take a charge. Reminds me, honest to goodness, Cardinal the custodian was a fantastic player, and this kid reminds me just of him.
And he's going to be a tough cover for Purdue. Shot clock down to 10. Jordan Poole with Harms on him. Can't get the shot off. Simpson with a drive. Has it knocked away. Ball hit the rim, still live, and Teske is fouled. Good effort by John Teske on the offensive glass. What a job by John Beilein, the winningest coach in Michigan history. 2 trips to the national championship game, and best of all, feeling good after a double bypass in the summer.
Yeah, he had double bypass, and you know what? I am biased. My son played for John, full disclosure. I love that man. The way he treats players, the way he develops players, the way he communicates with players. Dan, every single detail, jump, stop, pass, whatever you want, he covers in a practice.
Matt Painter, the head coach of Purdue, 14th year with the Boilermakers, and even 300 wins with Purdue and a couple of Sweet 16 trips in the last 2 years. They lost 4 starters from a year ago, and some really good players as well. What have you seen so far from Purdue?
Too many threes occasionally. Too many threes. Half their shots are almost threes. 11 of their first 14 against Florida State have been threes. But I think, as always, they're very well coached, very tough. And Matt Painter, again, I'm biased for him, too, because I recruited him to come to Indiana. Ultimately, he ended up at Purdue.
Good rebound by Teske off the miss by Harms. John Teske is a vastly improved player from where he was a year ago.
Well, you guys were talking about Teske's value, not only as a defender.
Look at the ball movement by the Wolverines. Jordan Poole knocks down the 3. Another guy with a lot of confidence. You look at Poole, you look at Simpson, you look at Brazdeikis. Just guys loaded with confidence. Tough drive. Speaking of confidence, a little talent as well for Carson Edwards.
I was going to say, as he was doing that, you're getting ready to see some confidence. But you're right. Jordan Poole, the shot he made against Houston to put Michigan into Sweet 16 will be legend. But he'll end up having just as good of moments down the stretch. He's a big-time guy and a big-time tough guy.
Charles Matthews and Michigan, which started the year shooting the three poorly. They've been heating up lately, and they've made a couple. Three of them, in fact, already. Two of them, in fact, already here today. Nogel Eastern, number 20 for Purdue. Harms getting a lot of touches in the early going. And a foul going against Eastern of Purdue.
Well, this is what people know John Beilein as, an offensive genius. This is a high ball screen and roll, but the ball's going to pop. Drive it baseline. You have two guys opposite. You keep the ball moving. Harm's not out there quick enough. Poole or whomever is going to knock in step-up threes from the top of the key.
I don't know that there's a team in college basketball right now sharing the ball as willingly and as easily as Michigan is.
You know, I totally agree with that. I think it started last year, really. Look at the back cut.
Wow. Matthews finds Poole.
I always look at the coach when something like that happens, and Matt Painter was okay with the back cut. He just didn't want Poole to come out and be comfortable catching the ball. Grady Eifert got back cut. Painter was okay with it.
Edwards over Simpson, not there. Simpson, who wasn't the starting point guard a year ago at this time, took the job midseason and has really solidified it. Driving right past Harms on the switch, and Matt Painter needs an early timeout. Everybody contributing in the early going, and it's a 9-point lead already.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks, backing you.
What a start for the Mason Blue, up 9 already on Purdue. One of the big reasons Michigan is 7-0 on the season, the outstanding play of their freshman Iggy Brazdeikis. For more, here's the third member of our team, Chris Butler.
Dan, as Iggy becomes a household name, a lot of the opposing coaches had not heard of this guy. Roy Williams said, I'd never heard his name until we had to start scouting him. Matt Painter told us the same thing this morning. So how did John Beilein go about finding him? Well, it's thanks to former player Nick Stauskas, who was like Iggy, born in Lithuania, moved to Canada. Beilein said, hey, I wasn't even that impressed when I first saw him. I had to challenge him to become a better practice player, work on his shot. He did that, and we offered him.
And are they ever happy that they did it as Ryan Klein bangs down a three for Purdue. Brazdeikis is from Oakville, Ontario, and Stauskas from nearby Mississauga, Ontario. And just like you said, you fell in love with Coach Beilein when your son Andrew came to play here. I asked Brazdeikis yesterday, what's the biggest reason you came here? And he said Coach Beilein, and he's the same guy now as he was when he was recruiting me. And right now, Michigan, they just can't miss. As we mentioned, right-handed, but Brazdeikis shoots the ball left-handed. Some pretty good guys that he grew up admiring. And plays, as you said, with just a toughness and an enthusiasm as Eastern posts up and quiets the crowd for a moment.
We're talking about Iggy, and rightfully so, but the kid with the ball right now has been the best leader, I think, and the best defender in college basketball. I think Xavier Simpson, talked to the coaches, talked to the strength coach. They said he's taken this team completely over, and as I say that, takes a bad shot. But that's all right. When you play defense like that, you can take a bad shot. But I'm telling you, Xavier Simpson, to me, has grown. I remember as a freshman watching practice, he didn't want to hear it. Beilein sent him off to another court, made him run. By the end of that year, he was good. Last year, he was involved with taking him to the Final Four. This year, he's a star, absolute star.
And people talk about he and John Beilein, there's so much on the same page. And for a head coach, when your point guard is on the same page as you are, that makes your job a lot easier. 7-point lead to Michigan. The Boilermakers 5-2. Their losses to Virginia Tech on a neutral court, and then a 1-point loss this week at Florida State. Michigan's won. Not only have they won every game, they've won every game by at least 17 points this year, including the aforementioned wins over Villanova and North Carolina.
I talked to Jay Wright briefly, and you know what Jay said? He goes, look, Michigan's great. We needed a little humble pie, though. You know, it's just hard coming back. You know, they had so much success last year, obviously, and you win, and great play by Klein. Purdue's not going anywhere and not going away in this game, by the way.
Eifert misses the layup. They get another chance and can't make it go down. Brazdeikis. Yes.
He wants that money. You see, everything is. How many different poses will we see? This one was the money.
That's a Conor McGregor thing. Yes. He and his dad are MMA guys. Hey, listen, nobody's ever going to walk out of a gym and say, which one was Iggy?
We got to count him. How many different gyrations? Yep. We got the smile. There you go.
And the three will go down for Evan Boudreau, a transfer from Dartmouth. Average better than 17 points per game in his 2 years in the Ivy League.
Hey, he's giving him a big lift. Really big lift. 11.5 points, 6 rebounds, comes off the bench. You know what you're going to get every night. He's a mature, very, very tough kid, and talking to Matt Painter about him.
So they go a lot smaller as Boudreau comes in for Harms. We'll see the same for Michigan when Livers comes in for Teskey.
A great play from behind the block because Iggy was going to go get a layup against Eifert.
Edwards with a burst of speed.
Wow.
And gets by Brazdeikis to bank it home. What a play.
Hey, Dan, the great coach Pete Newell told me one time, great players on offense around the basket make the defenders disappear. He had Poole on him. Poole ended up behind him. The next guy, I think it was Teskey, came on and made him disappear. Only guy that jumped was Edwards.
And you got to believe Edwards is, as he always is, but maybe even more motivated to have a huge game here today as Simpson lays it in, because Carson Edwards, one of the very best players in the country, he struggled down the stretch against Florida State. Couple of turnovers, couple of missed free throws. Probably has been a long 72 hours for him.
He missed 2 free throws in a row, which I bet has never happened. Look at this. Nice.
What position he got kind of out on the elbow there.
Dan, he came out the baseline, ran to the wing, and Simpson was trailing, and he posted Simpson up. It was the oddest thing you're ever going to see, a post up on the right side with the back to the defender to the bench.
Matthews fading away, around and out of bounds. It stays with Michigan now. More college basketball coming your way this afternoon. Coming up next here on ESPN, number 2 Kansas at home at Allen Fieldhouse to take on Stanford. You can also watch the game live on the ESPN app. That game will be ably manned by John Shambi and Jay Billis.
So Billis offered to give us tips before this game. Fly in. I watched,
we're still waiting.
Yeah. And we don't want them. Stanford, I had them in the Bahamas. They're going to struggle in that game. They're going to be good by the end of the year. They have a bunch of young pieces. But losing Reed Travis to Kentucky.
Poole got a great screen from Teskey, and Michigan's 5 for 6 from beyond the arc.
And you don't see a hand up on the Purdue players. I'm going to talk about it on the court at the intermission about how Michigan gets a hand up and why.
Poole's already into double figures. Turnover. Brazdeikis. "26 points in 8.5 minutes for the Wolverines." A team that's really built this 7-0 mark this year predominantly on great defense, even though John Beilein justifiably known as a great offensive coach. Edwards says he got fouled, and back comes Michigan. Simpson gets a switch. Got Harms on him. Matthews. Another three. You want to talk about a well-oiled machine at both ends of the court right now. What a crossover by Edwards. Shot won't go down, though.
And what a block out by Poole on Boudreau. Every area. Here's a dunk.
Teskey from Matthews. It is all Michigan here in the early going. A 10-0 run to extend the lead to 15. We're going to make Dockage disappear for a little while. He'll rejoin us from the court when we come back. What a start for Michigan, up 15. The story today, the three-point shooting, but the story on the season, why they're 7-0. The biggest reason, maybe the best defense in the country. Dan Dockich tells you why.
Well, one of the reasons, Dan, is because assistant coach Luke Yaklich says we are going to contest shots with every fiber of our being. Now, you're going to see this is why Carson Edwards has missed a couple shots. 3 ways to do it. You can have your hands down. That's not good. You can have a hand up late, or you can really get up and get into the shooter. What you want to do is you want to make the shooter lean back a little bit or pop the ball out of his hands quickly. Michigan's doing a great job of it right now.
Take a look at these examples. There's Simpson contesting the shot of Edwards. Now here's Brasdeikis and Poole contesting the shot of Edwards. So the help defense has been there as well. Luke Yaklich was an assistant coach at Illinois State. Great story by John Beilein. Wanted to improve the defense. So he just started looking at the end of the year 2 years ago at schools that had good defensive numbers and tried to find out which coaches were responsible for their defense. Yaklich was at Illinois State. They had great numbers, and he went after him and brought him to Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I text Dan Muller texted me the other day, the head coach at Illinois State. He's like, look, this guy's a genius. You know, Michigan just pays more than Illinois State, let's be honest.
And most schools, they all have 3 assistant coaches, but not very many at all have a guy kind of in charge of offense and a guy kind of in charge of defense, you know, for lack of a better term, a defensive coordinator. Is this the way the sport might be going?
I think it might be, Dan. And the first guy I ever heard do this, you and I were talking this afternoon, Larry Bird, when he coached the Pacers, had Dick Harder as his defensive coordinator. I'd never really heard that before, but Bird knew what he didn't know. Yeah. And John Beilein, always considered an offensive guy, not ever really worried about rebounding or defense. He's changed it, and this is a...
Yeah, they're a better defensive team, and they're a tougher group, I think, than they were. They've always been a very skilled group, but there's a real feel of toughness about this group as well.
All right, then let me ask you. You just had Gonzaga. You just had Duke. You just had Auburn. You just had all those teams down in Maui. Where do you think Michigan fits with those teams?
It's a great question. I don't know that there's a team playing as together and connected as Michigan is. Gonzaga, I mean, Duke's special. Obviously, their talent is extraordinary, and they're really, really young now. They're not going to be quite as young by the time February, March rolls around. They'll be experienced. Gonzaga is so good, and they did it without Killian Tilly, who's a great player.
Can these guys compete with those teams?
I think so. I think so. But the Zags are so big and they're old. They're everything Michigan is. But on any given day, listen, you've seen enough of Michigan to know, if their defense is really good and they're making threes, they can beat anybody in the country, right?
Like, I think they're a much better team, just watching, obviously, this part, but physically, than Virginia. I had Virginia in the Bahamas. They're the number 4 team in the country. But, let's be honest, a lot of teams play Virginia and think, oh, man, we should have beat them, right? But they don't. It's going to be interesting, because I think this team can play with anybody.
It's like the baseball pitcher where you go 0 for 4 and you say, but I felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I saw the ball well, and you pop up 2 groundouts and a strikeout. You know?
Good for, yeah. It's exactly how Virginia is.
So how do you lose Wagner, Robinson, and Abdur-Rahman and get better potentially? Deep one for Klein.
I'll tell you, and I really believe this. I think Xavier Simpson, and Charles Matthews have taken over this team from a leadership standpoint, and I think guys got better.
Behind the back, Poole, and Austin Davis, the offensive foul. And a timeout on the floor. Same score as it was when Dockich was out on the court. Boy, your shooting touch is contagious.
It's good defense I'm playing.
On the money. Oh, my God. There's the tap. Oh! Incredible finish. Unbelievable.
Not the start Matt Painter was looking for here in Ann Arbor. Chris Budden had a chance to listen in on the Purdue huddle.
Danny's asking his team to please slow down, that the tempo that they're playing with and taking these quick shots is only fueling the fire that Michigan wants to play with. He wants them to work it around, get the ball in the paint inside.
They haven't scored in the last 4.5 minutes. How much is them rushing? How much is just Michigan playing great defense?
I think Michigan's playing great defense. I think there have been a few rushes, but here's the problem. Other than No-Gel Eastern, who do you throw it to on the block right now?
Yeah. Harm's not a post-up guy. Offensive foul, the call on Aaron Wheeler, redshirt freshman from Stamford, Connecticut.
He goes, look at Iggy, let's see that right arm. Anytime you see an arm go in and then extend, it's going to be called. I didn't think Terry Weimer actually saw it that closely, but he saw the arm extend, so he made the call.
Eli Brooks into the game for Michigan. They've got their smaller lineup in right now with Isaiah Livers effectively the 5-man, and he can shoot the 3. Like, he can really shoot the 3 as Simpson is fouled. Tonight we'll have the 14th annual Dr. Pepper ACC Championship game between Pitt and number 2 Clemson. It comes your way from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, and a spot in the college football playoff is on the line for the Tigers. 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. So you, Mr. Dockage, can watch from anywhere.
I'm going to drive home. I'm going to have it on. No, I'm not. No, no.
You think your wife's watching this game right now?
No.
No. Me neither.
No. Hey, tonight it's going to be interesting. Ohio State. Oklahoma won their game by 12. Ohio State Northwestern. See what happens.
Brooks misses the 3. Michigan has cooled off, but they keep getting stops. Purdue can't score either. And
see, that's lazy. Look, if you're Carson Edwards and your team's reeling, you have to stuff that ball into no-gel Eastern. You can't just flip it up there and hope. That's just lazy, and that kind of play is what ultimately is going to keep Carson Edwards from playing in the NBA. Mark my words. You got to be better than that.
Sasha Stefanovic into the game for Purdue, redshirt freshman from Crown Point, Indiana. Oh, man. One that Jordan Poole will want back.
Sasha's dad and I grew up together. Played against each other.
Good play, right?
Yeah, really good.
Speaking of Illinois State, a little tip in there by Edwards, and finally Purdue gets a bucket. It had been better than 5 minutes.
He went hard that time. He went hard, and next thing you know, what did he do? Nobody else jumped when he tipped it in. Carson Edwards cannot be lackadaisical on this team. He has to lead every possession with his toughness and hard play.
25 points per game coming in. Simpson gets to the bucket too easy, but another missed layup. Boudreau trying to back down Livers. Left hand, left it short. Let's see if Michigan can get one to go. They've missed their last 6 shots. Poole using the screen. Good screen up at the top of the key from Livers. Freed him up.
Boy, that's too easy. Just a little high ball screen. Painter going nuts with Boudreau. He didn't slide over, square his shoulders, and meet the ball handler.
Eastern up top right now for Purdue. Klein coming off a game where he hit 7 threes, and on cue he knocks one down.
That was hard. That was great defense because it made Klein lean back. He does it naturally, but they contested that shot. He just drilled it.
Klein stepping into a much larger role this year with 4 starters moving on. And he has a sweet shooting stroke. It was his hand in there forcing the turnover. Numbers now for the Boilermakers. And a block is the call going against Michigan.
Hey, I could say the same thing about Xavier Simpson on the other end. Lazy passes by point guards kill you. Simpson just did it. This is Edwards there. Look at just kind of coming down and flipping it up. Now he comes with great energy, and I'm telling you, when that kid goes as hard as he can go, there isn't a player in the country can keep him in front. There isn't a player in the country that can keep him from getting his shot. But if he's going to have the kind of professional career that he wants, he can never, ever make a pass like he just made. It's not fair, but it's true.
Wide open Boudreau. That would have been a big one. Would have brought Purdue within single digits. 5 minutes to go. First half. Edwards put his name into the draft, worked out with a number of teams, got the feedback that he should come back and keep working on certain aspects of his game.
And one of them is that, Dan. One of them is passing, setting up others, being better, and it's a tough thing.
Speaking of putting his name into the draft and deciding to come back, how about Charles Matthews?
Big D, they told him he couldn't shoot. So you know what he did? Every day he was in the gym. Every day. I don't know if it was 500, 1,000, 10,000, I don't know, but he is now a shooter.
3 for 3 from three-point range. Hard drive by Edwards, and he'll be at the free throw line.
Nobody can keep him in front. When he is low, he is quick, he is strong, and on top of all of it, Dan, he's fast. Like, there's quick and fast. He's whatever you want physically.
Yep. Edwards at the line, listed at 6'1". What's your best guess?
I heard his mom got mad at me because I said he was only 6 feet. I don't want to offend his mom, so I think he's 6'3". That's what I heard. I saw her in the airport. She didn't know I knew who she was. And this woman was glaring at me.
You know, it's funny. I've never known anybody who cared less about people getting mad at them than you, except for moms, I guess.
I don't
you got
like
a mom
mom.
thing?
Yeah,
you don't mess
like
with moms.
That's getting
fair.
mad. And Edwards is a really good kid. Like, I enjoyed my time with him at media day, so I don't want anybody getting. I don't want moms, fans, Twitter, who cares?
All
but
right.
moms, nah.
I'm changing my chart to 6'3". Those were the first free throws of the game for Purdue. Michigan allowing only 51 points per game this year. Carolina scored 67 on Wednesday night. Highest total that Michigan's allowed. But remember, Carolina came in averaging 96 a game. So Michigan held them 29 points below their average.
That's foul. He just got hit.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
This screen I'm looking at is a little fuzzy, but it looked clearly like a foul, even fuzzy. Or maybe it's my eyesight.
Yeah, clear as a bell over here. We'll work on you at halftime. Long three by Xavier Simpson not there, and Purdue, as badly as things have gone after this drive, and then the follow by Grady Eifert, a former walk-on who's now a scholarship player and in fact a starter for Purdue, and they're back within 11.
And that's why he's a starter. He plays hard defense. His dad, Greg, was a great player. His brother Tyler has the worst luck of any player in the NFL. Hurt again. A great tight end, all pro tight end. Grady's a great story. He's a fantastic kid. Bishop Dwenger High School.
Good ball movement again. Brooks is open for three.
How about the pass fake by Simpson to Iggy? Drew the defense off of Brooks.
Michigan is 8 for 12 from three-point range. Eifert the kick. Klein is open in the corner, and he'll answer with a three.
How about two plays by Eifert right there? Tip in, and then instead of taking a forced shot, shot fakes, goes to the rim, and knew exactly where the best shooter was in the corner.
So Purdue starting to heat up offensively, but now trading buckets with Michigan as they try to narrow this deficit a little bit before halftime. Brosdakis, little push off, little step back. How about that?
Oh, behave.
He's going to come out of his shell any day now.
Oh, man, and we've got the Canadian-Michigan flag across the way. It's too much here. Too much Canada here.
No such thing. Boudreaux.
Whoa.
Wow, what a rebound by Simpson. Matthews over the top to Teskey.
It's a little thing, Dan. The Michigan guys know off the high ball screen just how deep to take it before they throw it up to Teskey. You know what I mean? Just enough to draw his man on a bad step.
How many times did they run the pick and roll with success against Carolina on Wednesday?
It's just so hard to guard because they spread you.
Eifert is open. Too strong. Michigan doesn't like to play that fast, but when they get a chance to go in transition, they'll take it. When they don't, now they'll make you guard. Now they'll run their stuff. Matthews feeling it. Running down the miss. Oh, man, Brosdakis was wide open, and Simpson didn't give him the ball.
Couldn't get it. He wanted to. Hands were in the way, but he still could have got it to him. Maybe he's holding him up. Maybe it's the Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan freeze-up.
Spinning, and the finger roll won't go down for Edwards. Man, everything but the finish. Don't have it, call a play, run some stuff. Passes off a foot out of bounds, and it'll be Michigan ball when we come back. 16-point lead, Mr. Dockich. What do you think of Iggy?
I think the step back jack with a little push up, no problem. Set the puppies. He's good, right? 3 shots to win the game. He made every shot late. Yes.
Coach, you won't get any argument from the table here in Ann Arbor, that's for sure. Xavier Simpson is the head of the snake, the guy who makes them go, and sometimes the numbers don't reflect it, but man, is he valuable. Livers with an off-balance 3. Long rebound is corralled by Klein, and Purdue can hold for the last shot of the first half.
Xavier Simpson in every area has led this team. And like I said, when he was a freshman, like most freshmen, didn't really know, didn't really want to hear it sometimes. But man, now look at that. Little strip from behind, and it should get a layup.
And it was Simpson who caused it, but he can't make the layup. And that'll be the end of the first half. Other than that, Simpson a little slow to get up. He'll get some help from 2 of his buddies. But what a great first 20 minutes for Michigan, coming off a 17-point win over North Carolina, opening up conference play today, and up 16 to the half. Let's find out if John Beilein is happy.
Coach, 31 points in the first 10 minutes. What allowed for the fast start?
We really shot the heck out of it. I think we got good shots. The ball moved probably the best it's moved all year. We were, the ball has been sticking a little bit for us at times as everybody sorts to understand their roles and trust their teammates, and the ball was really moving.
What have you done defensively to limit Purdue in stretches?
Well, you gotta. We haven't done anything on Klein so far. He's getting open looks, and he's tough. Matt does a great job of running action to get those guys open. It's just keeping the energy up in Carson Edwards, right? Just doing everything we can to make sure that he does not get it going, because he can take over a game by himself.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
16-point lead for the Wolverines, unbeaten on the season. We'll send it to the studio after these messages with Greenberg, Spatola, and Cotter.
It's Bee Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
I'll tell you, the halftime show was as impressive as Michigan's performance in the first half. My question is, like wherever he goes, he's got to have a red and white and a green and white and does he have all different colors?
My question is, why do you do that? That's like that's in the backyard of a Shulman household. Everybody's just having a good time.
His success rate's probably about 100%.
I would think.
You don't miss or you don't do it again. Michigan's success rate shooting the 3, not 100%, but 60%, in large part due to some great ball movement.
Yeah, and you and I are just shocked at only 9 assists on 17 baskets. We thought it was more than that, but a lot of hockey assists. The guy, look at that right there. Next guy, knock it out. Michigan's ball movement has been, as John Beilein said, as good as it's been all year. And the truth of the matter is, when you allow Michigan guys, all these are step-in threes. When you allow Michigan guys to step into their 3, it is almost automatic.
9 made threes in the first half, leading by 16. Chris Budden has a Purdue report.
Yeah, well, Matt Painter really thought it was on them. He said, we're just not playing well right now. Sloppy is the word that he kept using. He said, we got to keep the ball in front of us. And while they are moving the ball, that's allowed them to shoot the 3 well. He said, we're also just giving them way too many open looks.
Tough stretch for the Boilermakers, coming off a loss, a 1-point loss at Florida State. They've got Maryland next. Then they're at Texas, and then the Crossroads Classic. They draw Notre Dame down in Indianapolis. That's a pretty tough 5-game stretch.
Yeah, very, very, very tough. Notre Dame getting better as well. Lost to Radford earlier. Key for Purdue in the second half. There you go.
And a foul called on Matthews, but great execution by Purdue that gets Coach Painter up off his seat.
You talk about playing sloppy. This obviously was not sloppy. I mean, and good for Harms going to the rim. You go to the rim like that, you're always going to get fouled or get a bucket or both. But it's on the other end, Dan. You have to be able against Michigan to keep your own man in front of you. And that involves 3 things. 1, the straight dribble. 2, guarding a screen into a dribble. And 3 is always the ball screen. So that takes 2 guys. But you have to guard your own man or switch and guard your own man.
And Charles Matthews is still smiling and talking. He's telling anybody who will listen that he didn't commit a foul on that play.
And the ball knows he missed both.
I believe you said down in the Bahamas, I was watching a tape of one of your games for a game I got next week. You said the ball is a breathing, living organism.
There's no question. Anybody that's played basketball understands ball is, it breathes, it knows who shoots it.
Yeah. It picks favorites. It puts people in the doghouse.
No question. Treat it wide.
Poole to Simpson.
See there, over help. You didn't need to help right there. Go make Poole make a tough shot. Instead, everybody's helping, staring at the ball, and Simpson just cut to a different spot. Nobody saw him. That's what Matt Payne is talking about with sloppy.
Edwards with a floater, in and out.
Look, you're a little, okay, you got a bad switch. That's fine. Now you're going to see Harms. Here's a drive. Guy helps. Look, no idea, number 20, No Gel Eastern, has no idea. You have to see both. Your head has to be on a swivel. When you're staring at a ball against a John Beeline team, you got no chance of guarding off the ball.
Are good passers born or developed?
In this program, they're developed because John Beeline works at pivoting, jump stopping, passing, chest pass, bounce pass, you name it, he works on it.
Edwards drills a three. Carson Edwards in the top 10 in the country in scoring and number 2 in Power 5 conference players in scoring at 25 a game. Only Robert Franks of Washington State has a higher scoring average than Carson Edwards. Open is Teskey. They are encouraging him to take that shot. John Beeline will get upset with him if he does not take an open three.
Well, he's taking them to the 2 and a 1 for 10. But they have, as you said it the other night. They don't care.
Yep.
Shoot it.
Coach Beeline says he's a 50% three-point shooter in practice, and he's not just making that number up. The managers and so forth, they track that sort of thing. And at practice yesterday, when Teskey did not take an open three, Beeline stopped play and said, you better take it. And Matt Harm says, oh yes, 7-footer, I'm 7'3", and I can knock down a three.
Let's just have a top of the key, big guy shootout. They're laughing too at the top of the key just now.
Harms with his second three of the season as well. He's 2 for 5. And now Teskey scoring on the inside.
All right, Purdue has always been known for help side, always been known, play behind the post, don't give up angles. Again, I'm just giving you examples of what Matt Painter was talking about of his team being sloppy.
Arms the shovel pass to Edwards, helped by Teskey. Klein with a floater inside. About 3/4 of his field goal attempts are from beyond the arc, but he puts it on the deck.
Yeah, 2 dribbles. He got low, too, and then just flipped it up and in. Look, he has a good touch from anywhere. He can shoot it anywhere. Just obviously his role as a three-point shooter.
Teskey thought about it. Maybe decided to walk away from the table, push his chips into the middle of the table, go home. And as he passes it off, pretty good passer as well. Oh, Poole with a reverse.
Matt Painter's walking towards the end of the bench. I wonder if he just wants to keep on walking, because he's got no help side defense right now, which is inexcusable for Purdue.
Purdue, a program that has long been built on toughness and defense and help and all those sorts of things. Carson Edwards, well, if they're going to get back in this game today, Dan, maybe Edwards is just going to have to take over.
And John Beeline said that. You know, he said that to Chris at halftime. Look, we're worried about Edwards. Edwards can go for 30 and a half and get you back in the game. There's no question about it.
Right now, Purdue's really only got 2 guys who are scoring. Edwards and Klein have combined for 26 of their 38. Brosdakis rejected by Harms.
How good is this? Jordan Poole just goes along the baseline. Nobody slides over. Everybody's watching. Carson Edwards late. No Gel Eastern not in position, but a great move by Poole. This is what I'm talking about. If you don't keep your own man in front of you, you get crushed by Michigan. Edwards fell asleep. Dead fell asleep.
And Poole got a screen from Brosdakis to knock down another 3.
Man, Poole took 3 steps, and Edwards was still standing there, and then like, oh, I got to go. Too late. Poole on fire.
Poole came in at 41% beyond the arc in the season, and he's 4 for 4 today. Edwards, the scoop and the finish.
He makes it easy. I mean, he makes it easy on offense. Nobody ever jumps except on no, nobody ever jumps.
Look at Simpson with a burst of speed.
Big D, I think you and I can go get double figures with this defense. And I can't run up the floor.
And that's why Matt Painter looks like that.
Yeah.
Just so efficient and so unselfish. Boudreau trying to get Teskey in the air, driving on him. Teskey got a piece of it, and it's out of bounds to Michigan.
Hey, Dan, guard the big guy out front, move your feet, and then block the shot off of the guy driving. Not bad.
He had one wish, and that was for Purdue to upset Ohio State and for him to be here to see it.
And that's intercepted. Marcus Bailey, touchdown, Boilermakers.
They will all say, Tyler, this one is for you. New inspiration to
Really one of the heartwarming and tear-jerker stories of the year so far. Tyler Trent, a Purdue graduate who is battling osteosarcoma, which is a very rare and aggressive form of bone cancer. Everybody knows the story. Big Purdue fan. You had a chance to have him on your radio show. You've gotten to know him quite well.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, and I did a radio show from his house. It was the Tyler and Dan show, and you know what? He is Purdue through and through. I've never seen anything like it. The inspiration that he has provided to so many people with his, not only, he's battling, but man, does he have a spirit about him and a toughness and a will that's incredible.
Dan Shulman, Dan Dockich, Chris Budden with you here in Ann Arbor as Carson Edwards is called for the offensive foul. Poole taking the charge. Well, it is V Week, and what better time than to tell you to join ESPN and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. Visit v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for cancer research.
Hey, Dan, on whatever night it was, Wednesday night, we were doing a game at Ohio State, and I put out there a guy to come co-host on my radio show. My wife and I are going to take him out to dinner in Indianapolis, and a couple VIP tickets. And Todd Brandon from Austin, Texas, stepped up, bid $3,000, got a $3,000 match as a great move by Xavier Simpson. So we've raised the other night, thanks to Tyler Brandon of Cisco in Austin, Texas, $6,000 just in talking about it. So I wanted to publicly thank Todd Brandon for doing that.
And we're going to do a lot more work. We're going to try to raise a lot more money over the coming days with this being V Week. We've got UConn and Notre Dame. Women's action, and that'll be the Women's Jimmy V Classic. Then a doubleheader at the Garden next week. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Florida, West Virginia. Dickie V, of course, will be on one of the games. Jay Billis on the other. Dickie V will make a speech as he always does, a member of the board of directors for the V Foundation, and we're asking for everybody to dig deep, and even if they can't dig deep, every little bit helps.
I also have to say hello to my friend Larry Clisby, the longtime announcer for Purdue. He's not here today, but he is battling. I mean, he is going to war against stage 4 cancer. And you know what? I'm thinking about you, Cliz. We were talking about you today, asking about you, and there's no doubt that my boy, Larry Clisby, is sitting in front of a TV right now going nuts that he can't be here. So hello, Cliz.
A 20-point lead for unbeaten Michigan. 7-0 on the season. And again, we said it off the top of the show. When you start thinking about the signature wins of the season, I think Duke over Kentucky was one. I think Gonzaga over Duke obviously was one. But what Michigan did to North Carolina Wednesday and what Michigan did at Villanova a couple of weeks ago, 73-46. As Boudreau misses the three and the rebound down to Teskey. Those are two of the most memorable games, I think, of the season so far.
Dan, there's been some good wins this season. Some mid-majors have gone and won by games, but nobody's played better anywhere than Michigan.
You mentioned Radford. How about a shout-out to them? They beat Notre Dame. Now they've beaten Texas as well.
It's incredible what they've been able to do. And you know what? Notre Dame's gotten better. I watched Texas play. I thought they were pretty good.
They beat North Carolina?
Yeah.
Right?
I'll tell you that, in your game, John Beilein and Iggy I thought Iggy intimidated the whole place. Like, I thought Iggy just got going against Carolina, and there was no stopping.
We've got 4 Wolverines in double figures already. And had that shot gone down for Matthews, it would have been 5. Stefanovic off a screen, misses the 3, and Teskey's given him good minutes again here today.
Look at him run right here.
And Poole called for the carry.
John Teskey has played not good. He's played great, and not just in this game. I mean, look, he's 7 feet. He ought to be able to dunk. But do this? I don't know, but this is what I like about Teskey here. Teskey has learned through John Beilein and the staff how to position his body. He understands who he is, and he's not just a defender anymore, Dan. He is an all-around good basketball player.
And the Michigan folks will talk about a game last year against Detroit. Mo Wagner was out, and Teskey stepped in there, had to play more minutes, had a good game. And the confidence level just shot up for them, and he's been a different player ever since. Boudreau can't finish.
How about Legers coming over and just jumping straight up, not fouling?
Well, Poole was wide open. Now that also open in the corner is Matthews, but he's in a bit of a hurry and gets called for the travel. We mentioned the Women's Jimmy V Classic. It is coming your way tomorrow at 4 Eastern right here on ESPN. How's number 1 versus number 2 sound? UConn and Notre Dame. The game's in South Bend. You know this one could be an instant classic, and you can also watch it on the ESPN app.
You and I were talking before the game. I cannot believe Muffet McGraw has beaten Gino 12 times.
I didn't think he had 12 lifetime losses to everybody combined.
I didn't either.
But if it's on the screen,
it's automatic. If Bart
done,
Fox
right?
puts it on the screen, you know it's a fact. The great Bart Fox, our producer.
How about 11th straight meeting when both of these programs are ranked in the top 3? That's crazy. Teskey wants it. Look at that pass, but there's nobody there. It was a great idea. Little touch pass from the big guy, but nobody's in the corner. Big fella doing some work here today, and a big reason why Michigan is up by 20. Good times right now for the Michigan basketball program, undefeated on the season, 7-0 and up 20 on Purdue in their first conference game of the season as we welcome you back to Ann Arbor.
There's no help, Dan. I always say blur the front, nothing from behind.
I don't know that we have a good side. Michigan sure got a good side. I know we keep talking about it, but man, are they good right now.
Yeah, people are mad on Twitter. Talk about Purdue. You're a Michigan homer. They're up 20. What do you say? I mean, they're playing great. They're playing as well as anybody in the country. Dan, you were here Wednesday. I mean, what more do you want out of a team than to move the basketball, defend, and watch guys, Dan, from one year to the next improve? Xavier Simpson, John Teskey, so much improvement personnel-wise.
What were your expectations for this team coming into this season before you saw them play?
All right, where'd they go? Spain, and lost to a couple teams that I saw play in the Bahamas. And I thought, all right, they'll be okay. And I'm not going to lie, that game against Villanova really shocked me. And that opened my eyes to wait a second. Then I watched the film of it. I'm like, wait, they're really good. Are they the level of Duke? Are they the level of Kansas, Gonzaga? I don't know, but they're darn close if they're not there.
If you're looking for issues or potential issues, they're not a good free throw shooting team.
No.
And that's the kind of thing that bites you in the rear end at some point in an important game. And also in terms of depth, they're really about 7.5. Austin Davis is the 8th guy. Eli Brooks, is the 7th guy. I mean, Aaron Wheeler with a dunk. And it's an 18-point game. Let's bring in Chris Butler.
Well, what John Beilein's loved about this team over the last 2 weeks has been the confidence they're playing with. He said, it's like the flu, but a good flu. It's contagious. And I asked him why, and he said, a lot of it has been the chemistry that this team has developed so early on. He did say, he used another analogy, it's like pruning a tree. It's a long season. I know that confidence is not going to last. Sometimes it takes a loss for your best teaching moments, but I'm just going to enjoy this high while we're going through it.
You know, I'm probably talking out of school here, but my son's at Ohio State, played with these guys, and he was a mentor to Xavier Simpson. They talked last night for an hour, but going back to what you asked me, he told me earlier, he goes, Dad, I'm telling you, watch out for Xavier Simpson this year, because Xavier Simpson has decided and learned and read up on guys that are leaders, and he has taken this over, and Charles Matthews is right there with him. And Beeline literally can sit back and, for the most part, just enjoy it.
It's funny. It's the teams with good leadership and a good culture where the coaches talk about that sort of thing because they value that sort of thing. And Mark Few is a coach who will talk about the culture that has been developed. Jay Wright is Villanova's a program where you always look at the culture that they have had.
When Beeline came here, there was a lot of criticism. He can't recruit Detroit. I remember thinking Detroit players need Michigan way more than Michigan needs Detroit players. And he's just coming here and recruited to himself. You know what I mean? Recruited to his style. Long-armed guys, multiple positions, got to be able to shoot it, smart players, and they're as good as any program in the Big Ten.
I don't know much, but I know this. Michigan and Michigan State's going to be fun this year. 20-game regular season for the Big Ten this year. First time ever. And Michigan and Michigan State wanted a protected rivalry, so they are guaranteed to play each other twice. And both games are very late in the season. Last week of February here, and then the last Saturday of the regular season in East Lansing.
Michigan's had their way with Michigan State. And Xavier Simpson has had his way with Cassius Winston. I really believe this in the Big Ten. I think Cassius Winston is going to be one of the two players that's going to be the most valuable player in this league. And that kid right there has really dominated Winston. So it's going to be so much fun to watch these two.
Who's the other one?
Carson Edwards is going to be in it, but I think Happ to me, Ethan Happ from Wisconsin, I think those three guys are ultimately going to separate themselves. I'm just not sure if Purdue is going to be really good in the league this year.
And the league's pretty good. You
really
only got 4 bids last year, but you look at some of the non-conference wins, splitting the ACC Big Ten Challenge 7-7. They've put some wins in the bank early as a conference, and that's going to help all of them.
Yeah, there was a few surprises. Penn State beating Virginia Tech was a surprise. Rutgers beating Miami down in Miami was a surprise. But if you watch these teams, they're really well coached, and they have guys that can do multiple things. They're just not big plotting guys like the Big Ten has been known for.
We've had a total of only 13 fouls and 9 free throws in the game today. So look at the standings. And again, conference play started last night in the Big Ten. Michigan State beat Rutgers. Wisconsin with a nice road win at Iowa. Stefanovic, deep three.
Well, Sasha Stefanovic played for a great high school coach at Clint Swan. His dad was a draft choice back when the draft was 6 or 7 teams. Played at Illinois State 6 or 7 rounds. His dad and I grew up together. And his dad, tough dude, Louis. And Sasha has a lot of his attributes. Can shoot it and is really tough.
Drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. Aren't around anymore, of course. Would love to see Seattle get a team back. KD played his first year in Seattle. Livers over the backcourt.
You know what? Purdue is playing harder, and they're keeping their guy in front, and they're getting through screens. And, Dan, they're not holding on to screens. Like they're avoiding them, stepping through them, as opposed to feeling the screen and then moving around. They're just blasting through. Pretty good by Purdue.
Stefanovic, the cutter. And the ball's out of bounds to Michigan. More college basketball coming your way, and it comes to you from Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. The number 2 Jayhawks hosting Stanford. You can also watch it live on the ESPN app. Our buddies John Shambi, Jay Billis standing by for the call of that game.
Our other buddy Mike Swanson, he's got to be the stats guy on that one. He showed his Super Bowl World Series ring as the head of communications for the Royals.
Did he let you try it on?
Yes, he did.
Nice.
I'm big fat fingers.
Just put it on your pinky.
Look at Purdue. See, stay in front.
Simpson cross court. Poole, and he traveled. He tried to keep the toe down, but he couldn't. So Michigan in a bit of an offensive rut right now. Could Purdue start scoring enough to make a game of it?
Number 1, Notre Dame. Number 2, Connecticut. Women's basketball royalty versus the reigning queens. Gino, Muffet, oh my. The Women's Jimmy V Classic, Sunday at 4 on ESPN.
Number 1 and number 2 tomorrow from South Bend, and then the men's Jimmy V Classic doubleheader from Madison Square Garden in New York. Tuesday night, you can see both of them on ESPN. Dan Schulman, Dan Dockich, Chris Budden, 15-point lead. Wolverines. They haven't made a field goal in about 6.5 minutes right now. And as you said, Purdue's playing a little better. Purdue's playing a little harder. But they got to start filling it up if they're going to get back into this game.
Yeah, I look for Carson Edwards to get a touch here. Screen, he receives the screen. It's going up. Oh.
Simpson right there to meet him. Didn't give him any room. And a turnover.
Boy, was that good by Simpson. Carson Edwards set a screen, then he received a screen, and Simpson was having none of it and got right underneath it.
I think when Edmonds got the ball and all of a sudden he could feel Simpson right on, was like, how did he get here so fast? Didn't give him any room.
I'll give you 2 negatives on Michigan. One of them is they haven't shot the ball great other than today and the last couple of days, right? I mean, they haven't been a great shooting team. The other is, when you're in a dogfight and you got to calm everything down on the road, who are you going to throw it to inside?
Yeah. Whoa! Wheeler's giving him some good minutes off the bench here in the second half, and it's down to 12.
Boy, is he a good-looking player. Long, athletic, willing.
Wheeler 5 points, 5 rebounds here in the second half. Simpson driving on Eastern. As it knocked away, it stays with Michigan with 9 on the shot clock.
Right. This is what I'm kind of talking about, Dan. Like, okay, things aren't going well. They have figured out your offense, Purdue has. Now, how do you beat that? You just throw it inside. Do you feel comfortable enough to throw it to Teskey inside to go get a bucket?
Yeah, he doesn't normally post, right? He normally rolls on the pick and roll.
But when you're in disarray, most teams are going to look. There you go.
That. And a foul.
That looked like a walk.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't a walk. I just said it was also a foul.
Yeah, but Bart Fox was in my ear saying, was that a walk? Let's see. I thought it was.
1, 2.
That was a walk. I do. At some
and Eastern shaken up for Purdue. And Matt Painter saying, are you okay? Can you stay in the game? And right now Eastern says, yeah.
As soon as Matt asked him that, he stopped limping. Now he knows he's in the game and he might start again. If I know player, there you go.
Couple of big free throws there for Teskey.
Ryan Klein for 3 or Carson Edwards for 3 or a drive. But look who they're guarding by, the 2 best of Michigan.
Teskey the help and the recover to find Harms. It's Edwards off the back of the iron and Matthews with a rebound. Edwards now 7 for 19 on the day, 1 for 6 from beyond the arc. He's going to shoot it again. His second 3 of the game.
Oh, man.
And give credit to John Beilein. Again, not only is he not discouraging him, he's saying, I'm going to take you out if you don't take the open 3. They feel that is inside them, and they want the pick and pop to complement the pick and roll.
I am all for coaches, but if he didn't shoot that, he wasn't coming out. 1 for 10 coming in, Big D.
Big fella's got 15 points today.
Pittsnogle, West Virginia.
Pittsnogle-ish. It is very Pittsnogle-ish.
It is.
That is a Big Ten career high for John Teskey. At 14 against Purdue in the Big Ten tournament in the championship game last year. Poole with a shot fake, and he buries it. And Poole's got 21, 1 off his career high. Tipped by Matthews, recovered by Harms. Klein forces up a 3. Boy, Edwards got up there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was shocking, really.
Well, he's 6'3", isn't he?
Yes.
And boy, when Michigan's got the lead, doesn't the clock seem to go quickly in one of their games? It just keeps on ticking.
You know who else does that? Bayham. 5 minutes to go, they hang on to it like Phil Ford running a 4-quarter.
Speaking of Phil Ford, look at Edwards getting down the court with Phil Ford like speed.
I told you, not only is he quick, not only is he strong, not only does he play low, but he is fast. I mean, he is really, really fast and fearless.
Yeah, not afraid of contact at all. You've got to be a big transition for him, as great a player as he is. The 4 starters this year are different than the 4 starters last year. The other 4 starters from this team are gone right now.
Well, they had an NBA draft choice in Vincent. They had a stable of players you can have in Dakota Mathias,
yep.
a terrific, absolute egoless point guard in P.J. Thompson, and then a mountain inside.
It's just a totally different team this year.
And it takes a minute. Ryan Klein just looked over at me and gave me one of these like, ooh.
Did you have any answers for him? Did you coach him up at all?
I did not. I was talking to you. I would tell him, keep your head down and sit in the back of the bus and away from the coach.
Michigan going to Northwestern for their next conference game Tuesday night. Again, all Big Ten teams playing 2 conference games early in December. Last year it was because the tournament was a week early in New York. It's later. It's back to the normal week this year when it's in Chicago. This year it's because of a 20-game schedule.
That's a bad shot. Michigan, John Beilein is hostile. He wanted that ball back, out clock, ran instead of a 3. Doesn't have much to get mad about, but he's right there.
Travion Williams, 6'9", 280-pound freshman. Into the game for the first time here late in the game. We got a timeout on the floor. And you're right, still unhappy, even though the scoreboard says they're up 18. Now, certainly a lot to talk about in the world of sports today. And SportsCenter with Kenny Mayne and Michael Leaves comes your way tonight after the Mountain West Championship game. All the highlights, post-game coverage, and reactions from Championship Saturday. Which team or teams just played their way into the college football playoff. And today's best from the gridiron. SportsCenter at the Fresno State, Boise State on ESPN and the ESPN app. The Wolverines will get a little run on SportsCenter tonight as well?
I would think. Basketball, certainly not football. Ohio State's going to win by 1,000 today against Northwestern.
18-point lead. Michigan on their way to remaining undefeated. Able to go to 8-0. Then they've beaten North Carolina, Villanova, GW, Providence on their way to a win, it looks like, over Purdue. And for the Boilermakers, if they lose this one, it would be 2 losses in a row.
That Providence win was on the road, basically. That was up in Connecticut, only like an hour or so away from Providence. That was a big-time partisan crowd.
Eastern left it short, and Matthews down with a rebound. John Beilein still has his 5 starters in the game. Again, they're not all that deep. Livers has gotten 14 minutes off the bench. Brooks has gotten 12. Davis has been in for 1 minute today, but the starters have done the heavy lifting for the Wolverines. Teskey, man, just whoa. And hopefully the big fella's okay, and he looks all right.
There's people flying everywhere.
Stefanovic landed on top of him and still got the worst of it.
Yeah.
All right, you know Michigan very well. What have you learned about him today that you didn't know before today?
Well, you know, in person, and you saw him the other day, you can really see how connected everybody is. You know, you see it on film, you're like, wow, they're really good. But when you see him in person, you see how connected and how confident they are. Not only confident in play, but confident in each other. Like, I know if I give you the ball, I'll get it back. You know, I know if I'm open, you'll get me the ball. That's the number one thing that I've learned here. I know they're well coached. I know they have good talent. I know they have great leadership out of Xavier Simpson and Matthews. But, man, they don't care, man.
I used the word connected, actually talking to John Beilein at shoot-around yesterday. And he said, as coaches, sometimes you're so close to it. You know, it's interesting to see how you're perceived from the outside. But I agree with you. They are as connected a group as there appears to be in college basketball right now, as Teskey ties a career high with 17. Now it's December 1st, and a lot of other teams can get there by February. That's not to say they're going to run the table or win the national championship or anything like that. But, boy, if you're John Beilein, you could not have drawn up a better first month of the season. And if you're Matt Painter, at least you're not – I mean, Aaron Wheeler's not in trouble on the way home, right? He's going to be fine. He's good. The other guys, maybe not so much, but Wheeler's given them a lot. Nice spark off the bench here in the second half.
Really nice spark, and he's guarded as well. I think he's been involved in why Purdue has played defense at a much higher level than earlier in the game.
Rozdakis baseline and a foul.
All right, I go back to this, Dan. Can this Michigan team play? Let me go through it. Auburn.
Yes. Can they play with them?
Yeah.
They can play with anybody.
All right, can they beat them? Would you take them on a neutral court?
Yes.
Gonzaga. I know, right?
Can we schedule that game? Can we make that happen?
Arizona.
Can we have like a secret scrimmage in Minneapolis or something?
Arizona.
Yes.
You've seen all these teams.
Yes.
You were in Maui.
Yes.
Duke.
That'd be a great game. That'd be such a good game.
That used to be a great series with Leitner and Hurley and those guys.
Big ovation for the big fella, and he deserves all of it. "17 points, 8 rebounds for John Teskey, including 2 threes. Klein.
That's that circle action they like. That's been good against other teams. 57 points, Dan. That's 6 over the average.
Yeah, came in, given up only 51. Nobody's gotten to 70. 67 by North Carolina Wednesday is the highest total they've allowed. Simpson's got the ball on a string right now, but then almost turns it over. And a good effort by Brandon Johns Jr., a freshman from East Lansing, who has checked into the game.
There will be a guy that progresses. Maybe it's this kid here. I don't know, to help this Michigan team. A couple years ago it was Mo Wagner. Last year it was Teskey. I mean, say what you want, but Teskey kind of came out of nowhere last year and was terrific.
Now Poole gets a big ovation. He comes out. David DeJulius, another member of the freshman class, comes in. He's a Detroit kid. A year after, and you see this in a lot of programs. I don't want to say it doesn't happen in others, but kids get better when they play here from season to season. And guys like Johns and DeJulius, by the end of this year, or next year, or the year after, could be major players.
No question. I mean, there is a question, but I mean, they have done a great job here at Michigan of developing guys within the season, which is odd. You know, a lot of places don't. A lot of guys get with 8. You know, the old John Wooden philosophy, I've got 8 guys, I'm not talking to the rest. That John Beilein style.
And more ovations as Charles Matthews and Iggy Brazdeikis come out.
This Michigan team deserves to have a packed house every night.
Agreed.
If you can get 100 and whatever thousand to watch that football team, you got to be able to get 10 or 12 to watch basketball team.
Xavier Simpson, the last starter to come out of the game into the final minute. Three in and out for Eric Hunter Jr., freshman from Indy. And then Williams misses the follow slam. Hunter working hard. Johns brings it down. Michigan made 13 threes in this game in 25 attempts. And really were never threatened. Purdue got it down to 11 or 12 on a couple of occasions in the second half. Never got it down into single digits. Look at this.
I like it.
That was Luke Wilson. And he's calling for the ball about 35 feet His buddy's driving baseline. He's calling for the ball. He's standing on the M.
Good for him. Good for him.
Michigan remains undefeated. 76-57 the final. What a performance by the Wolverines. For Dan Dockich, Chris Budden, and our crew here in Ann Arbor, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching. Back to the studio.